Hey, what's up, players? How you doing? This is Torrance Hudson, and we are going to be talking about all the greatest news, gaming reviews, and everything arcade nostalgia into the modern age.
And I'm your co-host, Tony San Miguel, here for the action, the stealth action, the RPGs, the JRPGs, and the epic stories that keep us hooked on them.
And I'm Johnny Elisea. I enjoy retro gaming, collecting, and grabbing all those achievements and trophies, and unboxing the coolest finds out there. I'm also into all the gaming history. Three.
Listen, we're all about the classics versus the modern. We're also the nostalgia versus innovation. We are gaming Treble.
Level 1. Rhythm.
Got your body, girl, I'm gonna make it last. I give it to you right, girl, whenever you want. So come on, girl, let me take you to another world. You the one that I love, there ain't no other girl.
Die for you, cry for you. This is what I can't deny. Die for you, cry for you. Please don't say goodbye. Die for you, cry for you. This is what I can't deny. Die for you, cry for you. Please don't say goodbye.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Never say goodbye, I'ma die with you. I hate it when you sigh, cause I cry with you. See, I never say goodbye, I'ma die with you. I hate it when you sigh, cause I cry with you.
Say it. Say it. Tick 4.
All right, so for our first topic, we're actually going to talk about the old versus new gaming journalism and what went wrong. Now, everybody remembers Nintendo Power, everybody remembers Game Fan, everyone remembers all these great magazines, even some great sites that no longer available anymore. Um, but like Prince is not dead. I don't think Prince is dead at all, to be honest with you. I mean, you still see magazines nowadays. Even Euro, Euro Gamer actually has a couple of magazines they're still printing to this very day. So I actually wanted to talk about why I feel that gaming journalism should um, revert back to the old days, like the way the purity of gaming journalism should be. You know, I feel like there's too much sensationalism, too much favoritism, too many clickbait articles that you don't even believe what they're actually printing anymore. It's like they're chasing it. And even worse, they're putting out some false news articles and making either a dev or publisher or game worse than it really should be. So I just kind of want to put the floor out to you guys and see how you feel about, what is your feelings about gaming journalism nowadays?
To be honest, it's a lot of noise, man. All I see is websites. I don't even read them that much. I just scroll through, see pictures, and that's about it. Maybe I get a skim here and there. It's just not fun anymore. Um, and it's oversaturated. Um, Lately these days, I'm actually starting to go back to actual like hardcover prints and everything like that with anything I read now.
Mm, mm.
Not just that, like when I access these sites, it's always they're always trying to sell you something. You know what I mean? So I don't know who paid who off to say this game is great, and then you pick it up yourself and it's awful. So they've lost a lot of trust and credibility with me to be honest.
Mm.
I
Uh,
think I think the problem is that most of these writers and most of these journalists, they're very out of touch, and most of them are not even gamers themselves, and they don't know what's really what captures the gamers. Like if they don't have like the passion, and like you said, Tony, you said that And some of these people, they just pay them. They say, "Here, write a review on this game, and make sure you write a good review." Because
Oh
the
yeah.
problem is nowadays is that if these reviewers and these journalists, if they don't write like good reviews for these games, they won't get the next gig to write the right to review for the next game.
Mhm.
That's the problem nowadays. And like I said before, they're completely out of touch though. So that's why I always tell people, you know, if you see the game yourself and if you think that game is interesting, always give that game a try. Be your own judge. Don't let judge it for you.
Mm.
That's why I always tell people. You
Mhm.
know, we did the most of these like back in the days, we had Game Pro, we had EGM, Game Fan. You know the reason why we like when we read those magazines, and then we because they're more detailed. They just focus on games. They don't focus on anything else. It's just about the game. Is the game
Yes.
fun?
Yeah.
Is the
Yes.
graphics good?
Yeah.
You know, is the sound good? The music good? Is it the controls good? Is the fun factor? Am I going to enjoy? Is the challenge good? You
Mm.
know,
They give me
that,
shades of
that,
Game Pro there, pal.
Oh
E-
yeah.
e- Exactly. Dude, I subscribed to GamePro for so many years during my childhood, man, up
Yep.
until I was in high school.
Game
So,
Pro, EGM, I had stacks of them.
Game Fan, Tips and Tricks, Next Generation, yeah, all
Yeah,
those
buddy.
magazines. You know,
I,
but that's the problem nowadays. They're like these journalists, they're just not there for gaming. They don't give a shit about gaming. They're just
mm.
there to like just to add it to their resume, and hopefully they can work through like bigger networks. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah. They
CNN
want
or
to
whatever.
segment to like at like news or some. I bite my tongue here, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah,
Gaming,
of course. I
it's not the subject they want to be staying on. They want to be on
Exactly. That's the
TV,
problem.
I
report
I I
news.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you, guys. I mean, especially the point Johnny you put up where
What a great
journalists,
point.
yeah, where journalists actually feel like they're paid off. It feels like they're like special favors. For instance, you notice that a lot of devs out there, they bring you to a special event and they are saying, okay, well, there's a you can't say anything bad about this, or they'll actually have a certain section that's
Yeah.
almost like a setup in such a way where you have to you play through a certain point or play through a certain part, and they literally they dictate what you are doing inside the game, so you can't give them any type of bad look or bad review. And there's a disclaimer that they have, or this point where they're like, okay, well, we won't we won't give you any more reviews if you give us a bad. Like Sony was very notorious for this, but by the way.
Right. I remember. Yeah.
And I think Nintendo also. Nintendo's been very bad with that also. They'll
Mm.
blacklist you if
Hmm.
you give a game worse review than it actually they think it deserves. And this is the which comes to my next point. When it comes to from paper to print to digital, where digital is faster now, news is actually like, you don't have to wait for a publication to actually happen. you
Right.
you get it instantaneously. Like when a news order article comes up, boom, you'll see it in like usually that day or that evening or whatever it is. Sometimes I even see articles like overnight, like at the past like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I'll get a like alert. And I'm like, what happened now?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's been happening a lot as of late. I've been seeing that.
and
Yeah.
like in there's a transition period, basically from the 1990s to like early 2000s. They, like for instance, like GameSpot. That's a website that popped up in 1996.
Hmm.
They were meant, they actually started to put more digital news out there because they felt, oh, we could be able to get to the gamers faster this way, and they started kind of weaning off of print. Remember the infamous Game Fan? Game Fan had how many years of issues? I forgot. It was like I think over. I think they only did like less than 100 issues. I think it was. Yeah,
That
yeah.
was that was a shame too because Game Fan was actually a good magazine because what got me into Game Fan is that I look in the back and I see all these imported titles that you can that's only out in Japan though, and then I think they will have like some like mail order like you can actually order those because I like to see like what's out in Japan and it's what's not out here. So
Mm.
that's one of the things I liked about Game Fan. You know,
See, here is
it
Game
was so
Fan.
unique.
Oh, go on. What was your point, Tony?
My apologies. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
What I just found out about Game Fan, it actually started in '92. It used to be called Die Hard Game Fan. Ran all
That's
the way to
right.
December of
Oh, that's right.
2000.
That
Yeah.
is right.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, Johnny.
Hmm.
No, it's okay
I just
because
figured
I
it was
mean they did
important to what
change
you
the
were
name.
adding. I'm sorry. I got excited.
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, I'm glad you could. I'm glad you mentioned that because I do remember it used to say "Die Hard Game Fan" at one point. Yeah,
Oh, what I'm also seeing here is it relaunched in 2010. It relaunched for a little while in 2010. It only ran from April to December. Oh no, from April 2010 to December of 2011. So it ran
okay, yeah,
7 issues on a bi-monthly schedule.
Game Fan, this is here's a fun fact. Game Fan has only been around since for from 1992 through 1996 for 4 years. It's only been out for 4 years. That's their
mm.
run. That was their run.
Hmm.
This is actually around the time when when
Also
E3
a
was
good
rampant.
magazine.
When E3 was rampant and everything, and that's a subject we're going to talk about later on. But Game Fan was huge. Number one because of its bold print,
Yes,
very nice 80s and 90s print that's in your face. They had like big articles, a lot of juxtaposed pictures of the games, and you see the graphics, and it's like in your
Hmm.
face, and also they had a comic and everything where he actually had I think it was what was it? What was it? What was the character's name? I forgot. It was hold on, let me see if I can find that. It was a there was like a bunch of characters, and it went I think the enemy was like a corporate boss or something like that that actually kind of
So like
changes.
real life.
Yeah,
yeah,
basically,
that's
basically.
actually what's going on in the real world today. You know, and I'll tell you one thing. What I liked about Game Fan, I like their strategy guides for games. Though I remember I had the Mortal Kombat trilogy Game Fan strategy guide, and it had every single fatality. It shows you the screenshots and everything. It's doing the special move. It was like Game Fan when it comes to strategy guides were the best at the
I wouldn't
time.
have figured out those fatalities without them.
Oh, dude,
Yes.
I would not have figured that out ever.
oh, dude, I had to buy that strategy guide because like there was some like magazines like they would like list like some of the fatalities or in friendships and all that, but they would not. They don't list them all though. That guy right there was the must-have guide if you wanted everything.
What I want to know is how they figured it out to put these out. Did they talk to the devs and leak it?
Um,
Oh no. Oh no,
How
no,
did
I
they figure this out?
listen, you have dedicated video game uh enthusiasts that sit there day and night cracking codes, playing games, finding out glitches, just all night. How do you get these maps? Like for instance, I mean, you know that some of these maps are so complex, they literally spend day and night. I mean, if you actually pay attention to IGN, and what's it called, what's it called, the podcast, I think it was Podcast Unlocked, and they just Jessica Miranda, this I believe her name is, if I butcher her name, she is part of the strategy guide section, and literally you don't see her sometimes for several episodes because she is in the background constantly going through games with a fine tooth comb just to find every nook and cranny inside the entire game, every strategy, every weapon, every character from top to bottom.
I
That's
think I went to
dedication.
high school with a
That's
couple of
that
those.
That's
that is dedication.
dedication. Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, and it's strenuous. It really is because you're spending day and night, and obviously you don't do it by yourself, but you have like a several, and that's the same thing that these journalists, that create these magazines. That's what they go through, which is the reason why half of the time when you see a review and a review doesn't show up for like an issue or two, it's for that reason. It's because they haven't even completed a game yet.
This might be for another show, but I noticed that what I used to call the hotlines when I was a child. The guys who would
Oh
answer
yeah,
the
there was a bunch
phone,
of hotlines at that time. Heck
yeah,
yeah.
I talked to them and they're like, I didn't beat that one yet. They couldn't help me. Now that
Mm,
was nuts.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. This was in the
mm.
80s. I think it was like for a Sega game. 1-800 USA Sega. You guys remember that?
Oh
Of
yes.
course,
Oh,
and yeah, there was also there was and, like I'll tell you one thing. There was a time I did call one of those 900 numbers, and my parents called
900.
up and
Uh-oh.
mm.
Uh-oh.
yeah, remember those 900 hotlines and stuff
What?
from back in the day. Yeah. Oh, forget it. Oh man.
I'm sure your
And my
parents loved
for
that.
that phone bill of the month. Oh my goodness.
Oh, listen,
Yeah.
I ran up my mother's phone bill.
Oh crap.
No, I mean literally because there was four games that was stuck in, and I wanted to know the answers for all four games. So I said, I think one was Rambo, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's such a bad game.
And listen, Rambo for the NES, and I think, yeah, it was
That
a bad.
was hard, man. I still don't
It was
figure out.
Yeah,
hard. Oh, it was a
I still
hard
have to
game.
beat that
Challenging.
game.
Extremely challenging. And
Yeah.
I was playing through it, and I was stuck at this part, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So, of course, there was the 1-800, Nintendo line, the
It was
Nintendo Power
900, you mean, right?
Hotline. Yes, the infamous
900, yeah.
Nintendo Power Hotline. And I was on that phone for like literally an hour.
Oh,
You could tell
Oh no.
you can see the yeah. My mother saw that phone bill. I was banned from the phone for like literally
oh my God.
for a month. For a month, I was not allowed to use the phone unless mom was home. She said you are not touching that phone until I am home, and I'm like, but but
Do you think some of those
but I'm fine.
do you
I
think
was
some of those
punished.
strategy guide people you'd call up on these hotlines ended up working for these magazines?
Oh yeah,
The-
yeah.
That's where I'm
See,
going with
yeah.
this. You see that?
speaking of which, getting into that point, IGN, when
Before you go
actually,
any further, before we go into any further, do you remember? You guys remember that movie, The Wizard, right?
of
Yeah,
course,
of course.
Okay.
course.
Remember that part where she called up the Nintendo hotline and then she had that guy on the phone and he had to like pull out the guides for this game, for that game. He had to pull the other guys. He was on that phone for like hours, and I couldn't imagine. You imagine doing that to your parents' phone line? They would kill me.
Oh, that was Torrance. He just told us.
Yeah, they would. But the fact that she was using the hotel phone, which was smart, so she ranked up that phone bills, the hotel phone bill with that.
Oh, The Wizard, a fantastic movie, by the way. If
Yeah,
you
it's a
guys,
great movie. Everybody, if you guys haven't seen The Wizard, I highly recommend you check it out. I got it on Blu-ray, so
oh
Yes,
yeah,
please.
it's
if you
definitely
haven't
worth
seen The
a shot.
Wizard, you're doing it wrong, because
Everybody should go see that movie.
it
If you're a
is
gamer, you have to see it.
an
So for our
instant video
viewers,
game classic.
please let us know your favorite moments in the Wizards in the comment section.
Oh,
Oh yes.
absolutely.
Oh, you
Definitely.
got her. Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I can mention a few.
absolutely.
Which were absolutely hilarious. I was just laughing my behind off. Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
but go
let's
on what
go.
you were saying about IGN.
Yeah, so IGN, was printed in believe it or not, 1996 is when it first came out. 1990. Now here's a fun fact. 1996. Everyone remembers how famous 1996 is. This was the battle of the three consoles. This was battle between I believe it
The
was
PlayStation,
the
was the
PlayStation,
Genesis,
PlayStation
Sega
3,
Saturn.
SNES, and the
Xbox, yes.
PlayStation 1.
Yeah, PlayStation, that's
96
right.
was nuts, and it was a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Yeah. Well,
Is
yeah. Don't forget, '95. We recently had the 30th anniversary of the Sega Saturn.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, those were out too.
Yeah, those were out
Right.
early '95. Yeah,
Okay, everyone remembers the most infamous scene that happened over at E3, which is the reason. Another thing we're talking about E3 later, but
Okay.
the infamous line that Sony actually did, because it was Sony and Sega. They were actually at each other like this, locking horns.
three-way.
And the
Yep.
guy walked up and he's like, "Oh, we have an announcement of and then the guy just walked up and just said $299 and just walked off
What did he say?
because the price tag of the Sega Saturn when it came out was going for 499. 499 was the price of the Sega
Was it
Saturn.
4.99 or was it 3.99?
Well, as it was up there though. I think it was 499.
It
Let me
was definitely
double check.
around that time because I remember my cousin. He did pay a lot for the Saturn, but I
It came with
wasn't
three
sure.
games though.
I don't know. I think it was 3.99, but yeah, it was very expensive, and not too many people was down for that at the time.
You know that would be $1,000 today, right?
Yes.
No,
That's like
absolutely.
shelling out $1,000 for a system. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh
Yeah.
wait, hold on a second though. In Japan, I'm sorry, in Japan it was actually at 440. In the
Oh,
US, it was priced at
what about
399.
the
They had to
States?
check the
That's why
price.
I didn't know any people that had it, man. I only saw it in like the store or heard about it.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I saw it in the stores though. But like I said, my cousin actually got the Sega Saturn, so he was the only one that I knew that had it though. Because people in my high school they didn't really get the Saturn. Everybody had a PlayStation, but then when the
I
Dreamcast
wanted
came
one.
out, that's when a
Boy,
lot
did
of
I want one.
people in high school, in my high school, they end up getting the Dreamcast because there was a lot of faith into it. So, but the Saturn, not so many people bought it because the pricing, and then there wasn't the game. So they had some great games, but it just didn't fell to the audience.
They had the same problem Neo Geo did with the too high. Like doctors didn't
Yeah,
have a Neo Geo with how
yeah.
expensive that was.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the Neo Geo was the one that they said, oh, you have to be a drug dealer to be able to
Yeah,
be
no.
able to afford the Neo
Dude,
It was an
Geo.
arcade board you kept in your house and hooked up to your
dude,
TV.
it
That's
was
basically
either,
what it was.
Yeah.
dude, it was either that or you had to be a contestant in Video Power to win that.
Yeah,
Oh, Video
seriously.
Power. Oh, love that show. Still do.
Yeah,
Still do.
of course.
Actually
I still,
before all that stuff. I mean, that's another episode all in itself.
Oh
Uh,
oh
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
but
We'll
but
definitely
let me
get into that later
yeah.
on.
Yeah, exactly. We have episodes for days. I think what's interesting about Video Power is that, the transition between a actual show for like, news and stuff like that, and then turned into a game show where we actually, you
Hmm.
win prizes in the show. I
Right.
feel like it kind of lost its identity in a sense, but it's infamous for that one season. I think it was only one season that they actually did the
Yeah.
Video Power game show, so to speak.
Right.
So I wanted to know why, because there's a couple of questions I really wanted to ask. Is why they actually did the transition, but that's another episode all on itself.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
We're definitely going to get
Well,
more into that show once we do an episode dedicated to that show, and
Yeah.
we'll definitely
So
talk more
we
to it.
could use
So,
that.
absolutely.
Like, think about it. Those are TV shows, right?
yeah.
Look at all
Right.
the video game. Look at all the video game influencers we have now. Could it have just taken an identity in another form?
True. That makes
Right.
that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
much about the video game influencers because I don't really watch them, but it leads
Yeah.
me to believe that's what it is.
Mm.
Could that be?
Mhm.
Could that be a resurfacing of that?
I
So
would love to see like a game show like come back one of these days. I would love to
Yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
something like that. There's that one Canadian show, Video on Arcade's Top 10. That was another good show. That lasted for like almost 10 years.
Yeah, think about it. Like,
Game Master over in the UK.
with
that's
the
cool. That's another show. Right.
Yeah, and
what do the
Game Pro
what's the
Powered Up was another great one.
like?
All right.
What's the real difference? Think about it.
That
The
is
the
true.
influencers play games. They preview games and show it to us. They have giveaways. Some of
It's
them even
pretty
have
much the same
contests. It's
thing.
pretty much. It's very much like those shows.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now you know, Joe. But speaking of game shows and influencers, let's talk about the rise of influencers, which is actually something very interesting. Um, there are some major ones that popped up. I mean, everyone knows about PewDiePie, how he got started.
Oh, geez,
PewDiePie
yeah.
was more of a Minecraft show. Basically, it was all about Minecraft. You
Hmm.
and for some odd reason, I mean, he went from that to I think it was to scary games, jump scare games. What are those, like those he actually and his crazy loud influence in those particular games um got him to his like million plus subscriber count, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that YouTube, a big influencer portal, was I believe it was only 30 minutes for per it was something like that. It was some low no low ball number for videos that people were allowed to put up and it was limited. And you didn't have a paid there was no paid subscription. It was actually free. It was free. YouTube at that point was free. So anybody who was anybody was able to put up a video. If you actually had the chops and you had the camera or whatever it is, it wasn't as simplistic as it is now. Back then, you really had to kind of go out there, reach for the camera. You had to go out there and get the kind of software. You had to get, have something to work with it. Some people had those fancy cameras that you actually had to carry like this, and also, there was no like major USB ports. I mean, at that time either. It was more like those big bulky uh like these things. I actually have one. It's busted. I have to get a new one. But I had one of these. These like this little port. You can't see it right there. It's like
Yeah, it's a little.
right there.
Now we can. Yeah.
Yeah. So this right here, I actually had one of those memory ports, and it was via not USB, but it was actually a SATA cable.
Hmm.
Um, and it was kind of difficult to work with because you had to change out the SATA cables, you had to change out the hard drives, and the hard drives were also low. It was only 500 megabytes, some of them. Other ones I actually got was like 1 gig, as high as 1 gig. That's as high as they went. Can you imagine that? 1 gig is comparable to 1 terabyte now.
Yes,
That's sad. That's
That
weird.
that is insane.
That is nuts. If you
That's
think about
insane.
that, how fast technology
Yeah.
went. But getting back into the influencers, I've in some of my notes, I noticed that Skill Up. I actually was kind of watching some of his work. Very well done, by the way. He has 1 million YouTube subscribers since 2025. That's to this day. It's
wow, good for him.
2025.
That's
Huh?
awesome.
Yeah. And he actually has a lot of great videos, views, previews, and such. And I think he's a lone warrior. He's by himself. I don't think he has any
That's
other.
amazing.
Yeah. That's dedication. That's
Hmm.
dedication, man.
Just goes to
Yeah.
show where drive can take you.
Yeah.
You
Give
know.
him props for that.
And that's funny too. His lone work is comparable to all of IGN's.
I'm not surprised.
Hmm.
And I did this, I did a little experiment, and I was showing as I saw some of the videos that IGN spends all those millions of dollars actually doing, and then I look at his, which is like not even hundreds of dollars, and his work is like pretty much up
Hmm.
there with IGN's, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on the rise of influencers, and what do you think that or do you think is a good thing to actually have, or do you feel like IGN pretty much soiled the gaming grounds in a sense?
Well, like I said about influencers, I just started getting into them. I've only watched a couple so far, like that Skill Up feller. Um, the only that I love how they bring back that nostalgic feeling. I'm seeing new games I've never heard of yet. They're having contests, giveaways, just for watching them, just like those old shows. But I think they're more susceptible than magazines are to someone slipping them a few bucks, say, "Hey, give this game a good review," and that could be a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
You could get
Yeah.
games with really great ratings from the websites, and then it comes out, and you're like, "What is this?"
Mm.
Right.
That's
Well,
that screams
here-
at me that they were paid off.
yeah, that's one thing, though. But here's another thing that a lot of people are looking up to influencers. It's because people can connect with all these influencers. Nowadays, people can't even can't even have usually interactions with most of these journalists they have nowadays. It's like they can't even it seems like they don't have they see like journalists don't even have the same, like I said before, the journalists don't have the same passion as the gamers. But the influencers, like, you could tell that these guys, like, they know these games. So
Yeah,
they'll be like, oh,
that you
so
got to give it that. You got to give them that. They know the games
exactly.
in and out. They're passionate about it, and that's great.
Right. And they spend a lot more time with it though.
Yeah,
Most of
that
the
heavily
time
outweighs the cons of them being paid off for a shitty game.
right, exactly. And what you
That's a
said
rarity. For the most part, they're
exactly.
doing a pretty good job putting out, like, letting us know of new good games.
Right. And you have, like, and what you said earlier, Tony, like you said that, like, oh, you have to give this game a great review, otherwise, you won't get like a sponsor, or if we won't give you this thing to to get like a free copy
Hmm.
of a game, you know, or we won't give you
Yeah,
we
that's
we
more a
can't run
problem
any
of
contests.
journalistic integrity.
That's the thing.
What you mean right now, though, is like what you brought up were great points. These guys are passionate about it.
Mm.
Right.
I
And
find
that's
that
the thing.
that's a good thing to me.
Yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people look to influencers than to all these journalists nowadays.
Mm. Well, so since we're actually starting to run out of time on this topic, let's get our final thoughts. Let's talk about the path to credibility. Let's talk about there's actually a rock paper shotguns. You ever see that subscription model type of website?
Hmm.
They are starting to kind of become more of a instead of actually dealing with all of the corporate nonsense and all that outside influence in it, they actually kind of became more gamer focused now. And that's something that a lot of these influencers are starting to lack now. They're kind of branching out into all these modern day real world stuff, and the purity of the gaming banter or the gaming subjects kind of gets flooded, or gets muted in a sense where they're kind of reaching out to another audience that's outside of gaming. And I just wanted to know, how do you guys feel in the sense of where the influencer portion of gaming actually can fix itself or readjust or adjust the ship, or readjust the ship and get it to the right path of what gaming journalism should be, uh, based off of what we actually have dealt before, which is like the Game Informer, which is actually speaking of Game Informer, Game Informer is back. They came back now. They're actually doing a digital publication now, and they're actually going to be bringing out the magazines again.
Now that's news to me, and I'm happy to hear that.
Yes, and the thing is that it's how do I say this? I believe there was one gentleman who's taken over that people don't really agree with, and I'm
Is
actually
it is it usually most of these journalists that that people like don't can't really connect with?
Yeah, there's one guy who's resurrecting it, but
Okay, because
people,
I did see that though, and I saw that a lot of people were not too happy about, especially what they see that the people are behind it. So maybe I can understand that though, because if that's the case, then people are going to be like, because the thing is that look what happened with G4, when they brought that back. They don't want to see that happening with Game Informer.
and that's the problem. And that I mean, it's scary when we actually have that nostalgia and we have all those gaming memories that they're trying to reignite, and also trying to influence the future of you know game shows and gaming influencing sites that are based off of what we used to have. For instance, everyone knows that Nintendo Power is doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, no, it's no longer with us,
It's
unfortunately.
dead, right? But people miss it. But people know about it. People know
Hmm.
what Nintendo Power is, even though they no longer have a magazine, even though they don't have any of the, they still have resonance when it comes to gaming. It's there. It's history.
Mhm.
It's something that people can still reach back to and say have an influence about. Um, which is reason why I'm saying that Game Informer has an opportunity right now to kind of say, okay, yes, we are back. We are going to go back to the roots. Then we no longer attached to GameStop. We're no longer attached to any of that bureaucracy. We are now a our own magazine. We are our own entity.
Can I
So
ask a question?
yeah, what's that?
Is Game Informer, they're coming back? Are they going to be behind a paywall?
Actually, I don't think there's a paywall. I don't think there's a paywall. I mean, there is a way to subscribe, as get some other features. Yeah,
You know
but
why I think the paywall is better for their ethics? The reason being is like they're getting paid to put these out. They don't have to worry about pleasing any advertisers or anyone that's throwing money at. You know what I mean? They can say their true thoughts. They can report on the actual game the way it is instead of being influenced by money thrown at them by advertisers that's kneecapping what they can say.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing that could be successful. All you have to do is just focus on the games. Just focus on the games, though, and then this could be very successful.
That's what I mean.
Just,
That's what I mean.
just
They
don't,
won't
just don't,
have
don't,
people
don't,
throwing money
don't
at
put
them to influence
favoritism
their
or
decision on
politics.
what they're writing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Just don't put politics and favorisms, though. Nobody wants to hear that BS.
Yeah, no,
Just
no, I'm not
focus
even
on
talking
the
about
games.
that. I'm talking about like somebody like the main theme I've been running on this entire topic is like someone could easily pay, like say you put out a game, right? You just slapped it together. You have Unity 3D, you slapped it together in like 2 nights and wanted to put it out there. You give it to a game journalist, right? And say,
mm,
Mhm.
hey, here's $500, write a good review on it.
I,
If
I, I,
that same journalist was working behind a
I mean,
paywall and reviewed your game, he'd see it for what it is and be like, hey, this is shit, you
mm.
know?
yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, they have an opportunity. Like I told you,
Yeah.
they have an opportunity to
Yeah.
actually bring the integrity of gaming journalism back.
So is he going to take the
So
money or is he going to tell the truth?
Well,
That's what it's
here's the
about.
problem.
Yeah.
Matt Miller, who actually was the former editor in chief of I believe it was GameSpot. He's the one he's taken over. He's actually back. He
Mm.
got editor in chief of Game Informer. So take that with a grain of salt.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh.
and let's see where. I mean, right now it's only been about roughly a few months now
Yeah.
since it's actually relaunched. So, but that's it for this topic. So let's go for a nice little commercial break, and we'll be back after these words.
Gotta go.
Hey, guy, you're the first serious gamer I've seen all morning. Check this out. Brand new 16-bit Super Nintendo with Super Mario World. Wow!
What's this one?
Oh, this is a Sonic the Hedgehog from Sega Genesis. Hey, look at these radical colors, huh?
Wow, Sonic's fast, too.
No, over here.
I like Genesis, and it costs a lot less.
Wait, kid, that game
I'll
there.
take Sonic and Genesis.
I knew that.
Sonic the Hedgehog. More action, more speed. Sega Genesis. It's a whole lot more for less.
And we are back. I hope you guys got your chips and your dip, and also got your sodas. And we're moving on to our next subject. Let's talk about the rise of indie and AAA and AA games compared with leaner teams. This is actually a big thing because, as you can tell, a lot of these AA and these smaller indie games are starting to look and play almost as good as a multi-million-dollar AAA game. So let's talk about this. Let's get your thoughts about that. Let's start. Well, let's start off with you, Tony. This is a really up your. I know this is really up your alley because we
Oh yeah.
have a lot to say,
Yeah.
especially when it comes
Yeah.
down to smaller games that are so good, so amazing, and a few of them we actually played recently. We'll talk about that right now. So let's
Mhm.
get your thoughts.
Well, I'm also a bit of a developer myself.
Oh
What's
yeah.
great about this, why the games are getting so good, is we have access to the same things that big studios have. We have access to Unity 3D, Unreal Engine, all that fun stuff. We have Photoshop, Adobe, you name it, it's accessible to all of us, which is why these games are coming up so great. Plus, we're not kneecapped by putting out what an executive wants. We get to actually put our vision out there, what we feel people want to play.
Mm, mm.
Right. Definitely.
I love it, man. I like playing around with Unity and Unreal Engine is almost like a game itself to me too. Because it like you know what it feels like? You ever play The Sims?
Oh
It feels
yes.
like that when you're
Oh
creating
yeah.
environments. It's actually that simple. I think The Sims could be a great like beginner developer course if people start playing it,
Mm,
especially for environments.
mm.
Hmm.
Wow, that's pretty wild. I mean, when you
Yeah.
think about it, because because since you actually have pretty much been dabbling in that field for for quite a bit, um, I think this does actually hits home with you, especially with a lot of the smaller games. Well, not even smaller
Mhm.
games. I mean, they're big games, but small groups of developers. Some
Yeah.
by themselves. I mean, and some with two people.
There's a
So,
first-person shooter out there that was created by some guy by himself, and
mm.
it rivals Call of Duty. I'm trying to find out what it was called. It just popped in my head now.
Oh, it's
Which
called
game was that?
So goodness gracious, bullets something. Hold on a
What was
second.
it
It does.
called? What was it
It's
called?
actually
What was
on
it
X.
called?
It's actually on Xbox right now. You can actually play it on. You can play it on game.
Yeah, they made it with Unreal Engine 4, and
Mhm. Let's see,
That's interesting.
it's called.
I'm trying to figure out what it was.
I could-
I learned about it in school.
wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were talking about it in one of my classes, and I was like, wow, it was one guy, one guy.
Hmm.
Oh, who's from Korea? Was he not, or was China? It
It
was
was
China.
it's somewhere over there, but
It was.
Somewhere
whatever he
in Asia,
put out there
right?
was amazing. But here's where we're going, where I'm going with that is like because we have small teams that can focus solely on the game. No one has to worry about damage control with the supervisors or pissing off stakeholders. They can just focus on the game, and that's why a lot of these indie games are better than the triple A's. Because I'm
Yeah.
even in triple A's, I'm starting to notice like ads. They're sneaking
Oh,
in
of
ads in
course.
like GTA billboards or like in racing games or sports games. You see them galore all over the place.
Oh yeah. Well,
Who knows
especially
how long
like
it's going to be before they'll sneak into other games where it's inappropriate?
yeah, I was gonna
I get it in a
mention.
racing game or a sports game. Yeah, it's just like real life.
Yeah. Well, look at the fighting games though. Like some of the fighting games or spot are, like I remember Street Fighter 5, they were like promoting like Red Bull and esports and all
Yeah,
that other stuff.
what's that about?
It's like, yeah, exactly. And not too many players were happy about seeing that.
It
This is
kind of
when the
cheapened
match
the
is loading.
experience of
Nobody
Street
wants to see
Fighter. It cheapened Street Fighter for me. It didn't feel like Street Fighter.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, that's what it was though. But I will
Mhm.
say Street Fighter 6 is much better than 5. But anyway, but yeah, I
So
will agree. I will agree with you about the indie games though. They seem like they're more fun than all the AAA games that are out there right now.
speaking of
That's
indie
for sure.
games, which ones have you stumbled upon recently? I've got a couple that I love.
Well, I think you already know my favorite already.
Which one?
Bloodstain, the Bloodstain series from the man himself who did Castlevania Symphony of Night and all the other Castlevania, Koji
Well,
Igarashi.
don't spoil
Bloodstain.
it for me because I want to check it out. I haven't played it yet.
No,
Don't
I'm not
spoil
going to say anything.
it.
I'm not going to say anything about it. You check those games out. There's Bloodstain, Retro of the Night,
Mhm,
and then
mhm.
there's also Bloodstain, Curse of the Moon, and then there was also Curse of the Moon 2. I highly recommend you check those out. Classic Castlevania.
Before we ask our big dog over here, listeners, what are your favorite indies that you're playing right now?
We want to hear it.
Spam the comment section with it. I want
Yeah,
to
we
know.
want to hear you guys.
Yes, yes. I
Torrance.
there are quite a few games right now that I'm playing that people just even don't even know about, and they just completely overlook it, and it's kind of sad. There's a fighting game that I was playing. It's called Pocket Rumble,
Mhm.
I
and
remember we talked about that
yeah,
before. Yeah.
it is made by, believe it or not, it's made by a Brazilian retro yeah, game group from Pixel Art.
Brazilian studio, right?
Right, yeah. And
Okay.
they're actually from Pixel Art. And the fighting mechanics in the game rivals pretty much a lot of like the SNK games. It
Does it
has it,
use?
it has parries, it has counters, it has talks about footsies. I mean, it even has a tutorial. The game is hard. The characters are distinctive and different. And believe it or not, you really have to, and it's a four button formula, but you also have dodge, you have counters, you have all these things. Are it's nuts. It's almost like a love letter to the fighting genre. And I recommend anybody who is anybody. It's available on Steam. It's available on Xbox. I believe it's available on PlayStation as well. And I think it's available on Switch too. It should be on. Yeah, it's available on Switch also. I mean, it's only like what, $20. $20. You get yourself a robust story. And it has a storyline with dealing with one character. You definitely got to check it out. The soundtrack is very, very good. The gameplay is very good. I recommend it highly, highly, highly recommend it. Especially if you're a fighting fan.
Oh,
Now,
cool. Yeah.
remember from your description on it, do you remember Mugen?
Oh
Well,
yes.
of course.
I'm wondering if the
Every,
developers used that to make Pocket
anybody who's a
Rumble.
fighting fan
Do you
knows
think they
Yeah,
used
dude,
Mugen
I've
to
been
make
seeing a
Pocket
lot of
Rumble?
Mortal
It's a
Kombat
very strong
Mugans out there.
possibility.
it's
It
like
has
it's a
the
play.
combo
It's
system's already in there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anyone with programming experience? Yeah, you can put that. Take Mugen, boom, hit fight.
Hmm.
It's nuts. I've actually seen a highly improved Street Fighter Alpha 3
Yeah.
with like new the sounds are punchier, the graphics are
Oh
ridiculous,
yeah.
combos are absolutely out of this world. I mean, whoever thought you could see Homer Simpson versus Mega Man. I mean,
Dude,
that was
have you
that was
guys seen the
interesting.
Mortal Kombat Mugans? So there were some really good Mortal Kombat Mugen fighters out there.
Oh yeah,
They're really good. Like
absolutely.
like they put some of the 3D era characters into like the 2D of Mortal Kombat, which I thought they did a very good job with. It's amazing.
So let's talk about the tech advancements. There are a few games out there right now that are double A that rival triple A. Let's talk about the RPG realm. I actually recently Claire Obscure's Expedition 33. Let's
Oh
talk
my
about the
God, that game is
let's talk about the elephant in
amazing.
the room.
I seen that game.
This game right
It's
now
Seen
is
that.
amazing.
considered game of the year, let alone game of the decade. I mean there's a small team of ex Ubisoft devs, and not the whole entire team is Ubisoft devs. And believe it or not, there's only a few people who actually were former Ubisoft devs. The rest of the teams, they're just regular art students. They're regular, they're regular guys, who actually
Yeah.
are in love with the art of creating games, and they created this absolutely beautiful masterpiece. Masterpiece. Music, art, story, everything, voice acting, the combat. Can I talk about the combat for a second?
The
Of
environments are
course.
Can I
beautiful.
talk
The
about
game
the combat
itself
for a
is
second?
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Oh
Tell
my
me.
gosh. I'm gushing over it. The fact that it plays almost like a rendition of a little bit of Lost Odyssey, and if you're an RPG fan, you gotta know what Lost Odyssey is.
Oh, of course. I was on the Xbox
And
360.
right,
Yeah, I know that game.
and of course, Final a little bit of taste of Final Fantasy, you
Hmm.
and they meshed it together and created this absolutely culinary delight. And it's like one that you want to sit there all day just to munch on. Like you just sit there and you take a bite and you're just chewing on it, and you're like, It's like I don't want to finish this dish. This dish is not that I can't I don't want this dish to end.
I've
I
been taking my time
this
with it, man. I'm exploring.
Sure. Yeah.
it
Take
is
little
so
bite.
so good, so good. And what's even greater is this just the exploration alone. There are secret bosses in the game,
Hmm.
kind of pop up out of nowhere, and you're like, "Who is this?" And then you actually try to face them, and then you realize, "Okay, my team is getting wiped out. This is not working." And then you go back, and then you have to get better weapons, and then you go back to the boss, and there's certain parts also where which it's kind of frustrating too, which is the reason why it's always good to save like your heart depends on it. You have to save because if you don't, and you actually decide, oh well, I can skip this save, you're gonna regret it because you'll go back to the same spot where the boss actually is, and you have no way of actually kind of saying, okay, well, I gotta try again. No, no, no.
Mm.
Either you defeat boss or die. That's pretty much where you're at.
Yeah.
It's
It,
be-
it's
it's
pretty
better.
Like the
punishing
point
like
of
in the
no
old
return.
school way.
Yeah.
You know that.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah,
Put it that way.
it is the most dangerous thing to do in gaming nowadays. That is like the gaming no-no. The point of no return is the part that you just regret. Can I talk about okay, I know I'm getting off subject, but there was a time, and everyone remembers in Resident Evil Code Veronica,
Oh yeah.
there's a chest.
Of
There's
course.
a shared chest, okay? There's a shared chest. And there's a part of the game where you switch characters.
Yeah.
Dummy like me, realizing that there's supposed to be two parts of a key. I kept the one part of the key on the person of the other on the other disc. And I realized that I got to a part where I couldn't
Whoops.
go any further because I didn't have both keys to actually put together to actually unlock a certain door. And I said, wait a minute. I went into the chest and I realized I didn't put it inside the chest. I'm supposed to put it inside the chest so that way I can go to the chest and actually link it up to the other. And I said,
Oops.
oh, and I didn't say before then. And I didn't say before then. So I was stuck at that part. I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back to the first disc. I would have to start all over again. And that was at that point I was like, okay, well, I might as well just start the whole entire game all over again. And that's exactly what I did. I had to start the game all over again because that one part that, after the boss that you face, and then you get to a certain point and you realize, okay, I have the key, then you realize it's still on Chris's part. Chris still has that other part of the key on his person, not inside the case. But anyway, I'm through with my rant. I'm through with my little
Yeah,
nightmare.
it's frustrating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's frustrating. But getting back to the subject, yeah. So, yeah. So let's talk about this. Do you feel that AAA games are getting threatened
Oh yeah.
Of
because
course.
now
Oh
the
yeah.
rise of indie, yeah, the rise of indie and the rise of low budget games are rivaling their transaction heavy, um, uh, basically lots of
Bug
bugs.
infested.
Yeah, bug infested. Yes,
I've got
lots
two
of bugs.
huge ones. Two.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Huge.
And I feel and what do you think? What do you think that AAA studios should be doing to remedy this to actually gain the trust of gamers again? Let's start with you, Tony. How
Hard
do you
one.
how do you feel about that?
That's a hard one, but I wanted to add what you were saying earlier. Yeah, they are being threatened. Think about I got two huge ones. Back on I'm going back on when I was talking about Unity, how I
Mm.
use that system. There's two huge games that are made off that. They're killing it right now. Cuphead and Among Us. They
Oh
were both
yes, I
made with
forgot about
Unity.
Cuphead.
Cuphead is fantastic.
Ooh,
Cuphead killed it.
ooh.
It's killing it right now still.
Oh yeah.
They've got a cartoon.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that tells me a lot of AAA companies are in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Did you see the new game that's coming out from the creators of Cuphead? It's called Mouse PI, I think. PI
Oh, is
Mouse.
it the
Yeah,
first person
the
shooter?
first person black and
Yeah, the
white
first
type.
Yeah.
person. Yeah, it's black and white, and
Yeah.
you're playing a mouse, and you're shooting around. Dude, that game looks fantastic. That's on my one of my most top wanted games of the year. I'm
Mm.
excited to play that game even more than all the other AAA games that are out there right now.
It's like shooting people as a Steamboat Willie.
Yes.
Exactly. It's playing like an old Disney cartoon from the
Yeah, yeah.
1930s.
I feel that games like that are so amazing doesn't even cost that much to create, by the way.
No.
No, like I said, Unity 3D is free. It's
Yes.
Yeah.
free. You can create that game for free.
And
Yeah.
these
I mean,
amazing
listen, it takes a while to create that game, but in the months to, but like
Mhm.
after you're done with that game, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's the man hours that you got to put
It's
into it.
definitely worth it.
It's tough.
Yeah.
you see, which is the creative freedom that most of these indie games have, which is reason why the games are so special. It reminds me of when PlayStation first arrived.
Yeah.
When PlayStation first arrived, you know how many obscure games came out of PlayStation? PlayStation did not get its popularity, just because it's PlayStation. At that point, no one knew what PlayStation
Mhm.
really was.
Mhm.
But there were some big highlights of PlayStation that made it what it is. Indie games, games that actually, I mean, there were some companies like Psychosis, which is no longer around anymore. They created games called Shadow of the Beast. Remember
Oh
that
yeah, that was
game?
a hard game.
A very hard game. Oh my gosh. And then of course there's other developers that actually were there, like Sony Interactive. They actually created some games. Sony Interactive was more of a multi-plat type of that type of developer, and then they decided, okay, well, we're no longer going to be multi-plat. We're going to go to put our time and efforts into making games for our console. And this big rivalry between Sony and Nintendo because of that scuffle. That's another subject all on its own. But this is what this is what these are the vibes that I'm getting from indie games now. This is what I thrive on because I think what was it? I was watching this episode. I forgot where it was. Was it Polygon? No, it wasn't Polygon. They actually did an expedition. I think it was for Gamescom Brazil. That's right. It was Gamescom Brazil. You showed me that, right? Gamescom Brazil. And they were out there, and had this indie section, all these indie games. Dude, there are some amazing indie games coming out from a lot of European, Brazilian, um, either South Africa. South Africa is they're killing it. They're killing it out there. There's some amazing games that they're bringing out there. Let me see if I can bring up a
Back
couple.
up a sec. Back up a sec.
Sure.
Are you gonna bring up PS1 and indie games and not mention Parappa the Rapper, like the most
Oh my gosh, I'm so.
famous
Oh, you
indie
know what?
game, and probably
I'm
one of
sorry.
the first ones that get
It's all in the
huge?
mic.
Bad boy, bad boy. I cannot believe I actually
Yeah, Parappa's indie.
Parappa the Rapper
Yes.
was such a obscure, fun, and amazing game. Same thing with Bust a Groove, another game that
Oh,
was an
Buster
indie.
Groove. My goodness.
Let me tell you something. Buster Groove was amazing rhythm type game that was so different and so obscure, but it's so amazing. And the soundtrack was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I recommend
It was
everyone to
that.
actually look up the soundtrack and groove to it because it
Oh, yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
And the fights and also the dance moves, it was great. Fun times.
Hmm.
Guitar Hero wasn't really an indie, but it was I said no, man, no. I think Harmonix was an indie developer. That's right. Harmonix was an indie developer.
Yeah.
And Harmonix created some very awesome rhythm type games as well. Guitar Hero did not become a success overnight. I should strike that. Yes, it did. Everyone likes peripherals. We'll get this another subject on its own. Man, you know how many
Oh,
subjects? Oh, that we're gonna talk about that.
that was
Oh,
peripherals. Don't get me
oh my
started.
gosh,
You
guys,
Yeah.
know which one I'm thinking of.
Chad,
Maybe that's for
Chad,
another show,
you're
but
in
you know
for
which one I'm thinking of.
yeah, you're in for a treat. You're in for a treat for that episode. I got some bangers for you. I got some bangers for you, and the
Right.
reason why that we need peripherals. But getting back to that, um, I
Okay.
don't. I feel like I have an opportunity right now. AAA games right now have an opportunity to go back to the roots, find out what made our games tick, spend less,
Yes.
Yes.
okay? Work the games right, smaller teams, and I believe Yoshida actually mentioned that one time too. Yoshida, he mentioned that. I see, matter of fact, he mentioned that in an interview recently. He said that playing obscure, playing Claire Obscure's Expedition 33 inspired him to say that maybe Sony needs to go back, go for smaller teams to create better games. And I agree. Look at the smaller teams making now. Cuphead, small team, 30 devs. It started with two.
Mhm.
It started with two people. And
Yeah.
then to finish the game, I think Microsoft was the one that kind of helped them along, gave them more money. They got more devs, finished creating the game, added stages because remember, first it was going to be a boss rush game. Cuphead originally was going to become a boss rush game. They added the side scrolling elements and everything later to make it a longer game.
Yeah, because I do remember when they first showed off Cuphead, they actually showed the bosses first. They didn't
Yes,
show any of like the like any of the stages that you go through. They just showed us the bosses. That was it. I remember seeing that when it
that
was first
see,
revealed.
and it's
And
and when you look at that and you say to yourself, "Wow, can you imagine how far the dollar got stretched to make a better game?" And
Yeah,
it's that's the reason why that amazing games are made.
yeah. It just shows you that just because you have a lot of money spent on your game does not mean it's going to be very successful.
yeah,
I mean, no one can be a Call of Duty. Not all games can be a Call of Duty. Not all games can be a Final Fantasy. Not
A
all
Grand Theft
games
Auto.
can be a Grand Theft Auto. Oh gosh, Grand Theft Auto is good to print money. Just put
Yeah,
Grand Theft Auto on a sticker. You're gonna print money. Just put it on a sticker.
yeah.
Grand Theft Auto.
It's
Just
selling.
put Grand
It's
Theft Auto.
selling.
Just it. You'll make money. That's how powerful that brand is. Rockstar Games, that's their bread and butter. Rockstar Games would not be anywhere without that game. Strike that. Manhunt actually would have got them somewhere too.
I do like the Red Dead Redemption games. Those I think
Red
those
Dead,
games are fantastic.
but there would be no Red Dead Redemption without Grand Theft Auto. Trust me,
Right.
it would have never happened.
And
Grand
people
Theft Auto
forget.
3.
And
I'm sorry.
people forget that, the Red Dead Redemption wasn't the beginning, though. People forget there was Red Dead Revolver.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about Red Dead
Yeah,
Revolver.
People forget about
Yeah,
that.
came out for the PlayStation 2.
It
Yeah,
came out for PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. I played it on the original Xbox.
yeah.
Fantastic game.
I remember. I
It
remember.
was, it was something special.
Hmm.
Great
Speaking
Western
of what Johnny said, that you could pour like millions of dollars into a game and it could still be bad. This covers both.
Let's talk about that one. Let's talk
Yeah,
about the
we're getting into it. Yeah.
yeah. Let's
You ever hear of Kingdoms of Amalur put out by that baseball player Schilling
oh
and
yeah,
his 38 Studios?
yeah. Oh boy.
That
Um,
was a
that was a travesty.
yeah.
That was a travesty all on its own. And it, well, you know what? They stepped on their own foot. Let's just
He
put it
was
this way.
he was trying to make another like Warcraft or something like that.
Yeah, it's
You
just
know.
it wasn't
Wow.
it wasn't
I don't think it ever got made. I
no.
don't think it ever got finished.
Amulet? No, it didn't. Actually, matter of fact, that's right. It actually, they canceled the project. I think it was on its
Mhm.
or I think last legs of the
Yeah.
game. Creating the game, and then they literally canceled it. They couldn't even bring it for
They just
another
folded.
game.
They just folded. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
another
it's
game that
too
actually
bad.
suffered that.
Mhm.
Let's talk about Anthem. There's another game
Oh man, that was
created by EA.
I wanted to like that one. I got bored
Me
though.
too.
I got bored.
I heard a lot of people said it was boring though, from
I
what I heard.
wanted to like it, so but yeah.
That's why I never touched it.
They were trying to be three different things at once. A fully explorable multiplayer living world in a sense with story elements kind of thrown in. That's pretty much what it was.
With
When
armor
we
suit.
saw the first demo, when we first saw the first demo, during E3, I think it was E3 2009 or 2010 or something like that. They showed the demo, and it looked great on paper. And then when people finally played it, people were like, "So what do you do in the game
Yeah.
exactly?"
Yeah. I didn't know what the hell to do like
Yeah,
for the first 10
clueless.
minutes.
They
I was
don't
like,
show you where you
what
have
do I
to go.
do?
They don't show you what you got to do.
Yeah,
You
it
gotta lead
completely.
people to where they have to do. You have to have direction. If you don't have direction, your game is lost.
Ah man, I feel like
You know?
yeah, they failed they failed at a great idea.
They couldn't find their identity, man. Stick to
No,
You can't
no.
mix too
Yeah.
many things at once.
They spent
hmm
all that money on Anthem, and Anthem
Confusing
actually
mess.
became a free to play afterwards because I think now you can actually get it for free.
Is that EA?
Yes, it was
Anthem
EA.
EA?
Yes, it was
It was
EA.
EA.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing that happened recently, also EA, they were going to create another Titanfall type of game, and they canceled the
Yeah, I
project.
wanted it.
And
I wanted it. I love
they
Titanfall.
canceled the project. They canceled the project and they fired devs at the same time, in the same breath. They
Yeah.
actually fired devs and they canceled the project.
Could have had Titanfall 3, but no.
No.
Yeah.
I mean that alone would have printed money, but they felt it wasn't worth the funds.
It wasn't worth throwing money to
It
it. Yeah,
wasn't
so
worth
they
throwing the
decided
money.
to get rid
Out
of it.
of all the first-person shooters I've ever played, that was the most fun one.
And
I know a lot of
Personally,
people like that.
that was the most fun one to me.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a laundry list of AAA games that that could have been great, but really has just lost touch. They completely lost touch,
Yeah.
and one of the games, especially Ubisoft. Oh no, strike that. WB Games. Let's talk about WB. Let's talk
Oh
about
man.
that. Let's talk about that. Well, let's Johnny. I'm gonna throw the floor to you. WB
Sure.
Games, Mortal Kombat. Let's talk about it. This
Yeah,
is this is
I'll discuss.
something.
There's my boy
Yeah,
Strength right here.
Yes,
I'll take it from here. I'll
we.
take it
buddy.
from here. So,
I'm gonna look.
so what happened was, I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. So, WB Games and Other Realm Studios announced they're going to have the Mortal Kombat 1 Define Edition. Well, now, when you hear that, that means it's the complete edition. That means there's not going to be any more season passes, no more characters, or no more stages. So the game was done. And you want to know why? The reason why is because the Chaos Range Combat Pack 2 failed. It not only failed, but it sold poorly because the story was bad and there was characters that people did not like. They added in guest characters that people didn't like, and they gender swapped two popular characters, Sector and Cyrex. Like, come on. And the only character that people liked in that was New Cybot. And for $50. I mean, people are not going to throw $50 into a combat pack and of a garbage story.
For one character.
You know, exactly, for one character that people gives a shit about. So, and plus the story, you know what they could do? I mean, somebody will play it and then they'll upload the whole cutscenes on YouTube and they'll just watch them from there and they'll save their money. And they said, "Oh man, this story was shit. Thank God I didn't pay $50 on that." So what happened was, I guess they decided to cut it off, and now there's a rumor going on that I think their next game is going to be Injustice 3. So yeah, Mortal Kombat 1 is finished. So it's a shame. It could have been good, but the story they tried to make it like too much like the MCU, and you know it's not going to work. You know, and people didn't like the directions what they were doing with all these different characters. You know, they made Scorpion, Sub-Zero brothers now, and now Liu Kang is the fire, like the fire god. He's like the new Raiden, and Raiden's like the normal human being, and people didn't like those changes. So
I didn't like Raiden.
It was
I
more of
missed
like a
Raiden. I missed
multiverse version of Mortal Kombat, which is considered.
Right.
Hence, they called it Mortal Kombat 1, which is actually kind of like back to the beginning kind of thing.
exactly, and people also didn't like the cameo system because they just don't like the fact that like you sending out helpers, and plus there was characters in the cameo system, like characters like Darius, Chijinko, Movado, female Chameleon, Goro, Motaro, and people said those are
Can't play
characters
as
they
them.
want to play. They want to play those characters. They don't want to just use them as helpers, and it's for assist attacks.
Yeah.
So people didn't like the cameo system. So yeah, the game was was a failure. I mean, it did sell like I think it was like 4 million, 5 million. Someone could correct me on that, but
No,
I
it's
mean,
5 million,
game-
5 million, 5 million. Yeah.
5 million. Okay, but like I said before, the Combat Pack 2 was a failure. People didn't buy it. It sold very poorly, and that's why they decided to cut it off and just release this complete edition of the game. So yeah, MK1 is done. So give me your thoughts, Tony and Torrance, about that. We can start off with you, Torrance.
Yeah. Okay. Well, number one, Mortal Kombat 1. It I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. I mean, the combo system was different. I actually liked it, but some of the imbalance issues that they threw into the game that happened when they put the new characters in is what I didn't like. They and what I also don't like too is the fact that they had to throw in a new campaign, which doesn't make any sense. The Chaos
The
Reigns,
invasion mode.
oh gosh,
Invasion mode, yeah.
the invasion mode. I
People
mean,
don't like that.
I said, okay, so what was the point again? I mean, I like the ending of the vanilla version of Mortal Kombat 1, what was the purpose of Chaos Reigns? I was trying to get into the story, and I'm saying, was it necessary? They just wanted to add more characters and more of your money. Now, here's the thing, and I believe you agree with this, Johnny. This complete edition is what going for $70, I think it is. It's like
I
so,
think it might be going regular price. I
yeah,
haven't checked
regular
the
price,
price
right?
out.
Think about this: regular
They took some
price
losses there.
for everything that you had to pay $50 extra for each one. You sold about 130, 140, 150
Hmm.
freaking dollars. That
That's
doesn't
gonna piss
include
off a lot of fans.
that
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
include the extras and all that stuff. It doesn't include all that stuff. You had the gumption, you had the gall. To bring out this complete edition, which was cheaper than one, and it includes all that stuff that you already spent money on. Okay, where's my refund? I actually would like that. I would like to be able to write them and say, okay, you know what? Since you decided to throw all this stuff in there, literally 6 to almost 8 months after you decided to bring out the new Chaos Reigns, you decided to throw this whole thing together for a nice little compact package for less, just so you could try to get your money back. But yet those who actually spent that money is now got burnt. Thank you very much, but no thank you, WB. You can take that back.
yeah. Tony, any last words on it?
I can't give Chaos Reigns a fair shake because I skipped it entirely. But when we're comparing Mortal Kombat 1 to the, what, 11 was it?
11 was the last game. Yes.
Yeah, 1 felt like DLC for 11 with better graphics. That's what it
Right.
felt like to me. I loved 11. 1 just felt like a step downward to me.
Right. I will say this though. I mean, the only thing I did like about Mortal Kombat 1, because I mean, we talked about what we didn't like though. I will say the only thing I liked about MK1 was the graphics. I love the backgrounds, and I also like they brought back some of the 3D era characters. Like they brought back Lee May, Raiko. They brought back Ashura, Havoc. You know,
Like I'm saying,
that's
I'm
one thing
saying,
I liked about it. You know.
I'm saying MK11 was much better, but I'm
Mhm.
not saying that MK1 was not. It wasn't awful. I had a lot of fun with it, but once I finished the storyline and played through all the invasions, I just got bored. And then when
Right.
I got excited about Chaos Reigns at first, and then when I heard reviews from people that played it, I was like, "Yeah, I don't think."
And
I
the
want it.
characters that was
So that now
revealed.
that now that I found everything and unlocked everything, what else am I gonna do? Because kind of like I'll
Yeah.
throw it in for a match here and there on a very rare occasion, but I don't
Yeah.
really play it like I used to.
Yeah, and like I said before, what turned off a lot of people was the characters in that pack. So that's what it was, though. So yeah, there you go. That's MK1. We'll see what NetherRealm Studios has in store for us in the future. Probably will be Injustice 3.
Yeah,
So
it
we'll see
felt
what
like
happens.
it felt like half of MK11.
Right.
MK11 story was amazing.
Yes, absolutely. And and
Right.
basically, and that's the reason why, when it comes down to AAA games, you know, taking risks they don't want to take, and sometimes there's things that they just don't need to add. They just want more money. But
Yeah.
that's my thoughts on that. What do you think, chat?
Mhm.
Why don't you go ahead and leave your thoughts right there, and we will get back to you after these words.
TurboGrafx 16 is about to knock video games back into the Stone Age. It's 10,000 years ago. You're a cave dude. You are carnivorous. You've got to bonk 28 stages of prehistoric bad guys to rescue your excellent-looking princess. And you've only got one weapon. Bonk's Adventure, only on the TurboGrafx 16 system.
All right, players, I hope you enjoyed the show. Please hit the like button, Subscribe to the channel if you like anything that we talked about today.
And we'll wrap, but the gaming never stops. Whether you're chasing high scores or a KD ratio, or you're engrossed in the RPG, keep the passion alive.
Remember, players, whether you're chasing achievements or grabbing trophies or getting that high score, remember, gaming is about fun. Take care of yourselves.
Always keep leveling up. See you next time on Gaming Treble.
Smash that like.